Welcome to CCI Drive Time, the podcast for vended laundry distributors. I'm Steve with CCI, using your drive time to cover laundromat trends, payment systems, and practical topics you can use in the field. Today I have a special interview, an excellent interview with Ian Gollahon with Wash-Dry-Fold POS. They're one of the major players in the wash-dry-fold point of sale business, and I had an opportunity to speak with him today and discuss all things laundromat related, POS related, and we got the chance to talk about some of the integrations between CCI and their product. It's a good listen, and I hope you enjoy it. All right, Ian, thank you very much for joining me. It's great to have you on the podcast. We were just talking before we got things started, it's just a reiteration of the distributor relationships that we have and how complicated it can be for a distributor to know everything there is about everything laundry related. And so it's great to have somebody from an ancillary perspective that works with companies like CCI and talk about wash-dry-fold. And, but before we get too deep in it, I know that, we want to tease everyone listening with this special offer that you have for us, and we're gonna kind of make everyone wait to the end of it. So just so we don't forget those listening, we have a special offer for those listening as it relates to Wash-Dry-Fold POS. But we'll get to that. I think that'll happen shortly enough. But Ian, why don't you start telling us a little bit about yourself? I know who you are. I know where you come from, but I think it's a great opportunity to talk about who you are and kind of talk about Wash-Dry-Fold and kind of what role you play.
Yeah, so I started kind of getting into the laundromat industry probably a little bit similar to a lot of the listeners. I was in sales, and it was B2B sales, and I was selling billboards. I don't know if you see the little billboard back there with my name, but that was from when I went to corporate training with Lamar, the billboard company, and I went to this little entrepreneurship meeting, and one of the guys there was Brian Henderson, and he was there for his family's chain of laundromats, and we just really hit it off and became friends. And I was kind of helping him think through how to sell this point of sale system that he was using for his own laundromats. He had a lot of other interest from other laundromat owners, and I was trying to help him kind of figure out how do you structure it, how do you sell it, and he was starting to get bogged down pretty quick with the support. As you guys know, when people they buy something, that's not the last you hear of them. And so getting the equipment set up and making sure everyone knew how to use the system and training them and all that. And he got so busy with that so fast that right away he was like, man, I really need someone to take the sales piece of this off my plate. And so pretty early, I in that first year, that was back in 2016, I joined the company. And Brian and I have just been figuring it all out since, and there's no user guide to how to build a multi-million-dollar business, but we have figured it out as we've gone along. And we've sold over 1,300 point of sale systems now, 10 years later, and certainly one of the big four players in the point of sale space, and have certainly been a leader, especially in the higher grossing, laundromats nationwide. So technically I'm the co-founder right now, but I do the sales and marketing, and then we're actually transitioning probably into an incorporated, and so then I'll be the CEO, I guess, technically at that point. But I don't really like that. I just go by, I'm the co-founder, and I just, I kind of run the day-to-day, and I do the sales piece of it. And Brian really has moved into the technology stuff because we're a technology company, and so that's a full-time job for him, just to do the software and the software team and the team of developers.
Yeah. Quick side story about Brian and I. Brian and I met years before he started Wash-Dry-Fold POS, because he was working with his family's laundries, as you mentioned, and he was involved in that. And he came and visited me at our office. I don't even know what year it was, but it was a number of years before he started the business. to evaluate our product. And we got a chance to spend some really nice one-on-one time, evaluating our Gen 1 fast card product. I mean, this is going back probably
Man, yeah,
2013 or something like that.
that's a while ago. Yeah.
And I've known him for a while, but one of the things that one of the great impressions that he left with me was this ability to take somewhat complex ideas and make them simple. And if there's one thing that I know when I talk to customers who have your products is how simple it is. And I could, it just sounds so natural, is the idea that Brian was the perfect person to take something that maybe was a little complicated or could be complicated and just simplify it and make it there. And I know that, over the years, functionality gets more complex or more advanced. And so, it starts to become more of a challenge. But I know that was something he left me with when he came to visit. He put together this amazing review of our products that I should have done, and it just because it was how he simplified our conversations into almost like a product review that he hadn't even purchased. You know what I mean? It was just his way of kind of just like sharing this with here. I spent some time with Steve, and this is what I learned about this product. And I can just, when I learned that he had started, the company or started developing this product. So you have aligned yourself really well by whatever the chances were that got you connected to Brian. It was fate, and we've had a chance to get to know each other a little bit over the years as well. So it's a great pairing. So amazing. I'm curious. What did you know about the laundry industry prior to meeting Brian and starting to talk about that, and then kind of trailer that into what you thought you knew versus what was reality when you finally started to work in it?
Yeah, I think however much the average person knows about laundromats, I knew less for sure. Like this, whatever, wherever that is on the graph, I just knew nothing. I had been inside of a laundromat a few times when I was in Chicago. I used to live in Chicago, and we had a multi housing, I think is what they call it now. But we had units in the basement. Sometimes those went out, so we had to go to a laundromat, and that was my experience with laundromats. And the laundromat we went to was just the typical laundromat experience, where it was like kind of a hole in the wall, and there was this little old lady running it who would do the wash-dry-fold if you wanted her to, and
Right.
and so, but just all on pen and paper, of course, no actual like. And I do remember being like, does this lady even work here? She doesn't look like she didn't have a uniform or anything. And so I was like, is she just hanging out at the laundromat and I'll pay? Like I wasn't
She's
convinced she worked there.
she's just started a business in a laundromat.
Right. And to this day, I don't know. That's probably what it was, because she didn't have any kind of,
Yeah.
there was no counter,
Yeah.
she was just like,
Yeah.
yeah, give me, I'll write it down. I've got to, she had,
I'll do it. Yeah.
and so, yeah, so that was my experience with laundromats. And,
Mhm.
Brian, we started playing tennis afterwards, and I was asking him how he's doing. He's like, oh, my family's laundromat was on the cover of Planet Laundry this month. And I was like, man, that's hilarious. Can you imagine if there was a magazine called Planet Laundry? And he was like, no, there is. There is. It's a trade magazine, and we're on the cover. And I was like, dude, you're messing with me. And he was like, no, there really is. I was like, what? What are you talking about? And so he had to show it to me for me to believe it. And so, yeah, that's about where I came into the industry. So I really knew nothing. But I did know sales, and I knew value and marketing, and that was really what I brought to the table, is how do you convey value to the business owner? And even something like that you brought up about the simplicity, there was a lot of directions we could have taken our marketing in those early days. But what our customers were telling us again and again and again was, these ladies can't use anything. These ladies don't,
Yeah.
these are not computer programmers. They don't know. Don't give me anything complicated. It's got to be easy for them to use. Now, as the years have gone by, I think our competitors try and say that as a negative thing, But the reality is, it still does delivery. We can go onto your website, you can place a delivery order.
Hmm.
We're doing the laundry lockers integrations. It integrates with all the major card systems. We even have deep, deep integration with CCI, obviously.
Hmm.
But it has all the features. It's not that it doesn't have the features. It's that it's got to be easy to use. And for it to be easy to use, it has to be simple. There can't be 300 buttons about dry cleaning if you're not doing dry cleaning in your laundromat. And so that really has been key to how do we market this, and then also key to how do we actually develop it and make the software. And luckily for Brian and for me, he had the little old ladies at all three of his laundromats that couldn't use software. So they were the perfect ones.
Yeah.
If he built something that was too confusing on how to use, they would let him know, like, Brian, I don't know how to do this, you know? And so, well, what if I put it right here? What if I made it more simple? What if instead of a drop down, you just tapped the washer and you just tapped the dryer instead of having to find it from a list? And those were some of the really early insights we had that, now all the point of sale systems are built like that, but there was
Hmm.
actually someone had to figure that out. So
Hmm.
that was us. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah. So I came in
Yeah.
at the very beginning to answer your question. I knew
I
nothing. Yeah,
Well, that's interesting and very honest as well. I appreciate that. you know, when I say simple too, and I hope I didn't make the wrong impression, it was not a matter of lack of functionality as much as making something that could be complicated simple. And I am aligned with that so closely in our early days as well. It was, make the buttons as big as possible because Estelle, that is going to be my attendant, who's been here for 25 years, she needs a big button to push.
that's right. That's
you
right.
know,
They don't have good vision. Yeah.
yeah, and so to some level you have to remember who your user is, and so certain things have to be built a certain way in order to make it. So functionality is obviously we as software companies, we want to develop new functionality that starts to
Hmm.
express more complications, but it's a true talent to keep it simple. So
That's
I,
right.
I I love what you guys have been doing. So I want you to tell me a little bit more about Wash-Dry-Fold POS, and like I think you're known for being just this. It's a really down to earth company that has made things simple. But tell me,
Yeah.
tell my listeners, what is Wash-Dry-Fold POS and what are you known for?
Yeah. So we're the original point of sale system for laundromats.
Hmm.
And when we came into the industry in 2016, you could use a dry cleaning software to run a laundromat, or you could use some other software to run a laundromat. But we really became the first laundromat point of sale company that I don't know of an older one than us.
Okay.
Um, so that's really what we are still known for. Over the years, even though it's gotten more advanced, we have really stayed true to that simplicity. So I think you did hit the nail on the head. It's got to be
Hmm.
easy for people to use. Ironically, we were the most expensive back in 2016,
Mm.
and even 2019, we were priced at the top of the market. If you just lay out the four major options today, which four options have 80% of the market share, right? And so we have about 20%. So that makes us, about even with the other big three that are in
Hmm.
our
Yeah,
space.
sure.
If you just lay out all of our prices, we're about half the price of anyone else. Now,
Wow.
certainly half the price of two of the three. And
Okay.
um, the reason for that, one of them is credit card processing. We wanted to just make that cheap, and it's like 2.65%.
Mhm.
And then we do 10 cents per authorization. We can get lower than that and do interchange pricing. But I don't want to get too deep into the pricing, but just to say that, you know, we're the affordable option now, which feels weird because we were the premium option, but we just have stayed true to who we wanted to be. And if you're first starting Wash Dry Fold and you don't have a big operation, it's really hard to justify spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars per month on some software that's going to help you service $100 a month in revenue. And so
Mhm.
we've wanted to stay really approachable. And I think that has helped us. And then I think we're also really well known for our customer service. So if you go on to our reviews, we're all US based. We either live in Oklahoma or Kentucky, so we may have an accent, but we definitely, you're not going to get someone that can't speak your language or anything like that. So um, that's really important to us to be American owned and operated and to have full time salaried employees. And then every one of our employees, except for one, our newest hire, all of them have worked in a laundromat at some point. And in fact, most of them, like the lady who trains each person who buys a point of sale system,
Mm-hmm.
she used to operate 8 laundromats for 6 years. So she had like 100 employees underneath her. She's
Wow.
trained like 300 or 400 employees before she started working for us on how to use the system because there's a lot of turnover in laundromats. And so she was already an expert at training people on how to use it before we hired her. And then she's trained like 1,000 stores since. And so
Wow.
you're going to get someone who there's not going to be a question you could ask her that she's not
Not
already
heard.
had. Yeah, I mean, she's heard it all, she's done it all. And so I think if you're scaling really quickly and you're maybe a different business type, you can't afford to do that, right? If you've got 30
Mm-hmm.
employees, there's no way they've all worked at laundromats. But at Wash-Dry-Fold POS, we're a pretty small US based team. We all live and breathe laundromats 24/7. And so,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's definitely, and then Brian and I also, I know I came into it with no laundromat ownership experience, but now Brian and I own 3 laundromats called Liberty Laundry in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So I've gotten the call when the laundromat's on fire. I've gotten the call to stop by the store and fix the bill breaker is jammed again. And so
Mm-hmm.
I've been living the laundromat owner lifestyle for a while now too. And our 3 stores do about 2.5 million in revenue combined. So they're definitely in that top 5% of grossing, stores in the nation. So I've got that laundromat owner side of me now as well. Brian dragged me kicking and screaming into it, but he did a good job.
Yeah, that's there's a lot to be said for as I mean, listening to you tell your story and talk about where your experience comes from, and now in ownership, of stores as well, is it's not far off from our own. And my family's been in the laundry business for a long time, and I was on your podcast. We talked about that a bit, a few weeks back. But you know, there is something really to being able to develop a product in the industry that you are completely committed to and have and are not just watching it and observing it from the outside and acting as kind of an outside influence, but you're actually in the industry and doing it. And again, we own laundries as well. And so we use our locations, as I'm imagining you do as well, as test sites for when you're developing a function or a feature that you want to get real world experience without making a customer feel too much like a guinea pig, as they like to be
That's right.
talk, as they like to say. And I would imagine that's not uncommon with you folks as well. And your pricing story is really interesting too, because particularly now where we have all this, I'll call it new money that has kind of entered our industry, and there's a lot of conversation behind that, and both of us kind of somewhat in competition with that now,
Mhm.
and certainly navigating what feels different than it certainly did 10 years ago, is this idea of that, why raise prices if you don't have to?
Mhm.
and the idea that you are independently owned, as we are, and you're bootstrapped, you guys are your own, you have your own destiny in your hands, is that you aren't being forced to do things like increase revenue for no other reason than to increase revenue. And I think there is a lot to be said. Then you're also probably willing, and I'm extending my views on you a little bit here, as this idea is you're willing to do more for a customer that I think that others may not be willing to do because of this connection that you have with the industry. And I think that there's a lot to be said for those that are evaluating any product, whether it's point of sale or a payment system, is this idea of who are you buying from, who are you
Yeah,
partnering with, and I love the story. It's very reminiscent of ours as well. So thanks for sharing that.
of course.
Um, you know, I want to talk a little bit. We have a special interface together. We have a connection and our products. Our Wash Dry Fold Pro Link was launched end of last year, or begin it's the middle of last year, and you guys were early adopters. This idea of us opening up our system so that companies like Wash Dry Fold POS could do more inside the payment system and leverage the information that we're gathering anyway about machine starts and all of that, so that you have a way to create kind of a seamless experience for staff as they process wash, dry, and fold. And I don't want to go too far in it because you guys have, I think, done a great job interfacing with that. But can you share a little bit about how you guys are now interfacing with CCI and using our ProLink feature?
Yeah, I think the way I look at it is most of our stores before this ProLink, uh, if you want your attendants have to be able to start machines for wash dry fold. They just have to, right? You can't, and you don't want to
Right.
use coins. That's even worse, right?
Mm,
But the idea of just putting money on the little employee cards. Okay, yeah, they've got that, but then what if they use it for their friends? What if they use it for their family? What if they use it for the self-serve customer and then take a 20 on the side? And so
hmm
how do you make sure that they are only using it for wash, dry, fold orders? And so the way the software works is, let's say you've got Steve Marcinetti's order here. He's got $100 worth of wash, dry, fold, or let's do $1,000. Steve's a high roller here, so we're going to do $1,000 worth of wash, dry, fold. As you start dragging and dropping that through the process, so it goes from to do to sort to wash to dry to fold to done and then to picked up
hmm
by customer. So we want to keep track of the custody of the order the whole time and have those timestamps. Lots of important reasons why. But used to, you would just tell it, okay, I'm starting machine 3 and 4, and then that documents, okay, we know how much machine 3 and 4 costs to start, and so that number then on that report should match the number on the CCI report that matches. They use those cards to start. Well, it's better now because instead of them having a card, you can just hit 3 and 4, and then it actually starts machines 3 and 4. And so they can't just start machines that
hmm
aren't tied to orders. Well, why don't they just start 20 orders for Steve Marcinetti's $1,000 order or whatever? Why don't they just start 100 machines? Well, because we're also providing reports. They could be run daily, weekly, monthly, however little or much you trust your employees would be how much you want to run these reports. But it'll show you a ratio. And so we see at our stores is 37%. I don't know why so many stores see 37%, but that is a common ratio. And so that would means for $1,000 order, you want to see $370 worth of machines started. It's not going to be exactly 370.
Sure.
For a big order, it'll be less. For a small order, it'll be more. But the thing is, if you're looking at 100 orders or 200 orders and you're looking at all your employees and you see 37, 36, 35, 38, and then 50,
Yeah.
well, what on earth is going on with that 50? Did
The
she only do
trigger.
2 really small orders? Is she just not working? Or is she got a business on the side that she's opened up? Or we've even seen it, where they just are using the biggest machines possible, even for 20-pound orders. And it's like we need those
Yeah.
80-pounders open. We only have two.
hmm hmm
There's we need that open. What if like a bus full of people comes in and you got 20 pounds in there? And not only is that not efficient, but it cannibalizes, sales from the rest of the store. And so this functionality adds a layer of security, it adds a layer of efficiency, and it just makes the two systems work better together. And then, of course, if they've got money on their fast card or laundry card, they can still use it at the point of sale system and buy soap or whatever they
Right.
need to buy. So it accomplishes that too. And the biggest way we utilize that at our store, sorry to over answer your question here, but the last bit of it is if people want money back off those cards, I got $2. I want my $2 back. It's like, no, you got a $2 bonus. Remember when you did the 20 or whatever. And so if they want money out of it, whether it's bonus or not, we don't want our attendants handing customers money all day. And so we just say, well, we can't give you money back. It says on the kiosk non-refundable, but we can sell you soap, we can sell you snacks, we can do wash, dry, fold. So it
hmm
allows another way to get the money back off the card besides just cash back. So
Sure.
I would say that's kind of the broad overview of why even connect the point of sale system to the fast card or to the laundry card.
Yeah, no, thank you. That's a great description, and further for those who are leveraging our products. The other piece to that is if depending on which generation of our card readers you have, you can also present the order numbers on the card reader. So as your attendants start machines using your software. You guys have an order number like all systems do. Those order numbers will present themselves on the card reader. So you can almost have a nice visual as you look down a row of machines, and we color code them on an order basis too. So all the red ones might be order 1, 2, 3, 4. The blue ones are going to be order 5, 6, 7, 8. And so there's this great visualization of that these machines are running wash and fold orders, because you might have a store full of customers at the same time, and you can easily tell which machines are running wash, dry, and fold orders and which orders are in those machines. So yeah, I think this all comes from some early conversations that we've had before we even started developing this, and how can we best bring two completely independent companies together to provide just a seamless interface between point of sale and payment system. So I think it's great description. This is a podcast for distributors, as I mentioned earlier, and I know that you guys, you don't really sell through distributors, and really none of the POS systems really sell through distributors. It's just kind of a little bit of a different product, but that doesn't mean that it's not an important part of a package that a distributor is going to put together. And so, it's very common that they align themselves and they at least refer somebody to, to what they like. And certainly, you guys offer an excellent solution, certainly paired well with CCI, but I'd be curious when we talk about technology, is because, one of the things I learned from distributors, sometimes they can be a little bit, they don't like technology because it adds complication sometimes to their life. So, do you have any advice or any thoughts about what common mistakes you see, whether it's store owners or even distributors that make when they're considering technology? What are they overemphasizing something? I mean, what do you see happening?
Yeah, several things come to mind right away when you say that. So, I do see from a store owner side of things. In fact, I just got off the phone before this phone call. I was like, I gotta go. I've got a podcast I gotta be on. He was like, okay, one more question though.
Yeah.
And so, but no, really nice guy, Carmen, if you're listening, hello. But uh, he was telling me he's opening his first store, and he's going to buy, our system, and it's got to work with card machines and all that. Great. Okay, we got that. And he wants to do delivery first thing. Okay, all right. You're going to find that that's just a money pit that like takes 2 to 3 years to pay off. Like you spend $2,000 advertising for delivery, you're going to get like $200 worth of orders. Now, hopefully they'll keep on ordering, and
Sure.
after 2 years you get your money back. But it is a heavy CAC heavy, customer acquisition cost heavy, and LTV, like it's at least a 6 month payback period on these delivery orders. So it's already doing too much to do self-serve, wash, dry, fold, and delivery at the same time if you're a first-time owner. I just think that's way too much. Like, you don't even have employees yet. What are you talking about getting a delivery vehicle? Like, figure out self-serve, then add wash, dry, fold, because that's going to help you grow your self-serve, and you need people there to help with the machines and all that. So you want to be attended also for liability purposes. But those two things are going to be the majority of your revenue. And, we do 2.5 million, I mentioned, with 3 stores. Well, 70% of that is self-serve. I have a laundromat that does 700,000. In that laundromat alone is self-serve. You will never get to 700,000 of self-serve if you're not doing wash, dry, fold there. Those two grow each other. So those have to be there. It lowers your liability. It gives you a better customer experience for the self-serve. The delivery is a whole separate business, and you have to buy ads, you have to build a website. It's like, do you want to start another business while you're starting this business? And it's capital intensive. It's very capital intensive, excuse me. So I would say, and we do delivery. Again, I'm not saying don't do delivery. We have customers that do delivery and do a lot of money with it. I'm just saying that, there's something to be said about crawl, walk, run.
Yeah.
And if you're trying to do too much too fast, you're not going to succeed at anything. And that's especially dangerous if you're not cash flow positive yet. Because if you're dealing with, and I hope everyone who's listening to this and has a laundromat gets there. We've been there for years with our laundromat. Eventually that thing will just pour out so much cash. You're buying new machines. We just bought new vending machines. You're buying new washer and dryer. We don't know what to do with the cash. So we're going to reinvest it in delivery. Now we're doing delivery. We're buying some trucks. And you try and get your revenue. that's when to do it. Don't do it when you just spent all your cash and now you're not even cash flow positive. You haven't even proven your business model yet. So I think that's the biggest mistake I see owners make is just getting ahead of their skis.
Yeah.
Perfect the product first. Like if you don't even know how to make the pizza yet, you don't even know wash dry fold, don't start the delivery route yet. Like figure it out, get the team in place. And then if you want to do delivery on your first year or even 6 months into it, okay, great. Like if you have got our product, it's included. So that's easy. But um, it's not like there's just going to be a floodgate. You're going to put up the link to do delivery and you get 100 deliveries. No, deliveries cost you like $100, $200 each to get one. So it's not, you're talking to someone who spends a lot on Google ads, right? And so,
Mhm.
and Facebook ads and all that. So, um, and then for distributors, to make it specific to them, I come from that sales background where you really just want to get the deal closed, and any
Mhm.
complications to the deal jeopardize the whole deal. You don't want to jeopardize the whole deal with a $4,000 addition to it. You just want to get it closed and done. And so our product, I think, works pretty well there because it works with all the major card systems, but it especially works well with CCI. So if they're doing a CCI store,
Mhm.
it's going to be the best solution for that. Of course, in my view, of course, I'm biased, but we have that deep integration with CCI. We will ship it. We will guide them on how to just take it out of the box and plug it in. It's not hard. This isn't adding a complication. And then we will give them a 2 hour setup and training session so that they know more about that point of sale system than you do,
Mhm.
day one. And so we've built it in a way that we want to take off all the work from the plate of the distributor. And when we tried to work with distributors, they really wanted to get more involved and like train the customer or set it up themselves. And it's like, honestly, you don't need to. Like, if you want to unplug it and put the scale up and all that, sure, that's fine. But at the end of the day, we've designed it to be very easy to sell, very problem free. There's no reason to complicate it and say, like, well, if you go with this card system, get this point of sale. But if you go with this one, get this. It's like, no, we're the easiest, we're the cheapest, we're the best, we're the easiest to use and the simplest and best setup and training experience as well. And so we just want to take all that fulfillment piece of it off your plate and instead make it a very easy to use experience that they're going to have a good experience with. We're not going to send them to, they're not going to say, hey, I can't get a hold of someone, or the one guy I talked to was in India. That's just not what they're going to have with us, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
That makes perfect sense. I know it was a lot to unpack there, and I related so much with what you just you told us, and just to kind of rewind a little bit, this idea um, of run, walk, a crawl, run, whatever, crawl,
Call, rock,
walk,
run. Yeah,
run.
yeah, you
Yes,
got it.
I got to unpack it is so true because in reality we're a big self-service. I mean, that's what, as we focus on self-service, we let the people who are experts at the full service, which I'll defer to you on there. And I often make that same analogy that there's different layers to businesses. You've got your self-service,
Mhm.
then another business you can start is a full service wash, dry, and fold. And then another business you can start is a pickup and delivery. And
Delivery.
another business is a commercial, that all can run.
Lockers.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can
lockers.
get
I mean, it's
seven
just, there's
businesses going
all
on
these
here.
businesses can
Yeah,
happen. But when, I spend time, as we all do, on social media, and we see so many
mhm,
people wanting to get into this business.
that's right.
And the first thing in their inquiry about wanting to get into it is, I want to do pickup and delivery, and I'm going to do commercials, and go, they haven't even started a store yet. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like, and I almost would recommend, honestly, if someone's pure goal is to do pickup and delivery and commercial work, don't open a laundromat. Go to a commercial space where the rent is half what a retail space would cost, and open a commercial laundry. Now,
Mhm.
nobody's going to do that. That comes to
Right.
Facebook. They want to own a laundromat, no there. But it is such good advice to really take this in steps and take it there. And I preach that all the time, and it's refreshing to hear it from you. Yeah, this is really good stuff. I think the simplicity that you talk about in eliminating the complication from the distributor should be really well heard here. This idea that they need something on their counter, they need a way to process things on the counter, and it needs to be something simple. And you're not going to make the distributor do a lot of backflips in order to make that happen. You're going to work with the store owner, and you're going to make sure that they are set up. And you've talked about your customer service, and I've heard nothing but positive things about it. Ever since you guys have been on the scene. So,
Thank you.
yeah, that's excellent stuff. You kind of already answered my last question about some of the advice that you've given, so it's good. But I do want to circle back to this special offer
Oh
that
yeah.
you have for for our Drive Time listeners. And so I'm going to let you take it from here and kind of explain what you have for us.
Sure. Well, we really love working with CCI stores. We see them be successful. It's a great technology stack, and if you're listening to this podcast, you know how hard Steve works and his team on constantly updating it. So we did want to do a special offer for anyone who's listening to the podcast. If you decide you want this for your store, or if you're a distributor and you own a store, you want it in your distributor store so you can see it and test it.
Mhm.
Whatever the reason, the coupon code is CCI. It's not advanced, right? So if you mention
Simple.
CCI,
Simple.
this is not a long coupon code, but it's $300 off.
Mhm.
And so if this is something that it sounds like you want to do, and it sounds like something that you want to integrate with your fast card or laundry card, or even if you're just listening to this podcast and it sounds like something that would work well in your laundromat, then we want to give your listeners that special discount. So if you mention CCI and the coupon code, there'll be a little spot for it, CCI. You get $300 off. And we do, if you got any questions, you'll go to Wash-Dry-Fold POS.com, book a call with our team. Rebecca's like the nicest person ever. Everyone loves her. You'll have a lot of fun talking to her and just making sure you understand the system. And then she'll walk you through the checkout process, and you'll have that coupon code at the end as well. So, yeah, so happy to do that for any distributors listening here, and happy to do that for the CCI team. I know how much value they bring and add to everything.
Well, that's terrific, and really appreciated too. I think that, just because not everything is a distributor sale doesn't mean that you can't add value to the distributor sale in some
That's right.
way. And this idea that we've, at this point, I think we've done a good job of explaining. Ian, this has been just a great conversation. I really appreciate you participating. I know it's Friday and we're ready to hit the weekend here, but thank you so much. I've appreciated it. I'm sure we'll get a chance to talk more over time about other topics I think that might be good and aligned. But thank you so much. It's been great speaking with you. So long.
Thank you, Steve. It was a pleasure. Thanks.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.